What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Asus G15 Advantage gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're gonna check out The Last of Us Part 1 again, but at 1440p, and it did not run so well at 1080p. No matter what I did, after a couple minutes it would always drop down under 60, and the CPU was sitting around 96 like it usually did, so I know that's not the problem. GPU was getting 86, 87 like it has in almost every other game, so we're getting the same kind of temps as we usually get, so it's not like not like the laptop is throttling or anything. Someone's trying to say the game throttling. No, the game's just not very well optimized, but I figure let's go hop on in and see how it does at 1440p running through all the settings. I might not even be able to do ultra settings. I might not have enough VRAM for that. We were already cutting by the skin of our teeth on ultra at 1080p. Only one way to find out. Let's get this thing hooked up to the capture computer and go find out.
Well, all right. Now we're on 1440p, and it says we're using over what our RAM is, but we're still going to try it anyway on ultra here with no FSR. We'll do that at the end. But we'll leave that effects the way we had it before because I don't like any of that garbage. And we're just on Ultra preset to start with. It's probably going to run like absolute ass, but maybe it'll run better than 1080p because we're a bit less of a CPU bottleneck. Higher resolution goes, less of a CPU has to do. Unless you've got some nuts card like a 4090, then you're going to bottleneck that bitch in certain scenarios no matter what you do. That thing just needs new badass processors to get what it can do fully. Even at 4K in some instances, because it's a 4K card, that's what I meant anyway. But we've reached the bottom, so let's go and get into the game, shall we? Well, here we go on Ultra, and I'm not going to lie, it seems to be about the same, if not a few more FPS than at 1080p Ultra. I'd have to go back and look again, but yeah, I swear it was right around like low 40s, and it might have hit 48 a couple of times, but I don't think we even got into the 50s when we were doing this at 1080p. So, and we're at a 99% GPU usage, so that's good. 55% CPU usage. Wow, almost 60%, damn. And we're just out here in the middle of nowhere doing nothing. I bet that CPU gets up to almost 100% utilization at some points in this game. Like if we were to go back to the beginning with all the zombies attacking at first, with all the people running away, that shit made my Steam Deck struggle and fall to its knees. So if anybody's serious about if anybody's curious about that part, I can always go back and start a new game and record that in a later video. But I want this game to get a little bit more updates before I make any more videos on it. Just like with other games, I don't generally like to just make a bunch of videos on the same game unless it ran like crap and we're trying to see if it ever stops running like crap. Kind of like Gotham Knights and a few other games. But so far, we only had one like 30 meg update when I first got up today. But besides that, nothing. And I don't think that update did probably diddly squat. It was probably some really minor thing, like to fix like the game from just being broken. Like, who knows? Anyway, though, let's move on. Now we are going to drop down to high at 1440p here, and it says we're down to 10.6 gigs of VRAM, but we weren't quite maxing out before either. So it looks like we can just scrape by with 12 gigs still in 2023 for most games. That might change before the end of it, but so far it seems like 12 gigs is enough for 1080p and 1440p in most games. There could be some outliers, of course. I never like speaking in absolutes, of course. Anyway, though, that's the bottom, so to the game we go. Well, now let's get ourselves some high gameplay footage here, and I'm not gonna lie, yeah, I think we're getting about the same FPS, if not a couple FPS more than we did at 1080p with the same high settings. Around here, I think we were dropping down to like 59 or whatever. And here we're staying above 60. Interesting. Though, I wonder if they'll still fall into the same problem my laptop had at 1080p, where eventually after playing a little bit, when I was doing the camera part, it just dropped down to 60, 58 to 61 around here, no matter what I did. Didn't matter what settings I messed with. Or what, it was just stuck at those kind of FPS, and then I was only getting like 40-something% GPU utilization all of a sudden. So I don't know what was up with that.
Hey, try it over there.
Because, I mean, if it was temperature right now, we're at 89 degrees. I'm assuming the GPU would already be throttling up the asshole if it was going to do that. And we've gotten hotter than this before. We've gotten up to 93 before when I had the really bad thermal pads that also smushed out because I gave them too much pressure. This new one, the new pads, I'm just stock pressure for now. And quite a few people have informed me that more heating cycles these go through, the better it'll get. So it'd be kind of cool if all of a sudden I got stock performance on my GPU. Now we are going to drop it down to medium. And this is where we might start bottlenecking again with the CPU, but we'll see. But first, before we find that out, let's scroll on through here. Well, all right, that's the bottom, so back to the game. All right, here we go with some medium gameplay now. And yeah, if anything, we seem to be having the same issue where we're stuck at around the same 60 FPS at this point already. And I swear we're getting lower FPS than we were just at high. Not by much, but by a teeny bit. So I wouldn't recommend, yeah, we dropped all the way to 59. We didn't drop under 60 at all just on high before. So we'll just have to keep that in mind. That's why we're going to go without FSR, I think, again. I think FSR will be nothing but trouble. We'll see. Obviously, I'm still going to do it, but when I do my settings on Resident Evil 4, I ended up having to turn FSR on to quality just to get 60 FPS in that game at 1440 with no ray tracing or anything. So we'll probably, or I hopefully won't have to do that with this game. But we might. We'll have to wait and see. Man, this chick really wants me to get the ladder. Sorry, I'm busy. We're getting FPS data here. Anyway, though, why don't we now move on? All right, now for low, it's probably not going to go well, but we're going to try it anyway. I have a feeling we're going to drop under 60 again, down into like the 58, 59, just like we were at medium. That just seems to happen with this game if you go too low with the settings. But, in any case, why don't we go ahead and hop into the game now. Here we go with the game on low. And yeah, about the same. Everything looks much worse, but we're still getting about the same FPS. So yeah, we will not be going this low on the FPS, that's for sure. Or the FPS, on the settings, that's for sure. Once I mess with it and do my settings. We're going to try to leave a lot of stuff on high. It seems like that was working pretty good. But there's a couple of things we might not need, so I'll try to turn those off and see if we get the same or better FPS. Might be better off just going with high settings stock than mine. We'll see. On low, you don't see reflections or anything anymore, really, so... Well, what do you expect? It's low. This is supposed to be for low-end machines. But this is far from a low-end machine, so... It's trying to help me out now because I've taken too long. Anyway, why don't we now do some FSR? All right, we're going to do some FSR now. And just like at 1080p, we're going to run the game on high preset. We're going to start off with FSR 2 Quality to start off with. And then we'll just move down from there. But as you can see, we're on the high preset, like I said. And apparently at 1440p, I guess... Quality FSR is 1712 by 960. Interesting. So we'll just get down to the bottom here. And there we are. Let's go get into the game. Here we go with some FSR on quality. 75 FPS or so. We're not getting 100% utilization on the GPU, but we're doing a lot better than 40 or 50, so that's at least good. But hopefully I can get around these FPS without it by messing with them myself. Because I don't know about you guys, but I like avoiding FSR if I can help it. I don't know why. I just like native the best. But I'll use it if I have to. And a lot of games I do have to. Because it's not the end of the world. The game doesn't look absolutely horrible just by turning this on, but you can definitely tell a little bit's going on. Especially the higher resolution you go. And the closer you're sitting to the screen, of
Try it over
course.
there.
Like where I'm sitting, I can't even touch my monitor right now. And that's why this big-ass TV works. If it was too close to me, I'd be moving my neck all around, and it'd be terrible. Which is actually the reason I don't like sitting in the front row when I go to movies. A lot of people do, but I don't like looking left to right, up and down to see the whole screen. I like being in the middle or in the very back. But anyway, now let's move on. Now it is the turn of FSR Balanced. So let's just look through these settings again. Right there, as you can see, FSR 2 and Balanced. All of this stuff's the same. And as is the high preset, but I'll still show you guys. And apparently that's, the resolution is 1512 by 848. This game has a lot of settings. But I like that. I like games that give me lots of options and then show me what the damn options do. But now, time to move on. Well, here we're getting some decent GPU utilization still. Not 100%. We're dropping more. The more we drop the resolution, the less that's going to go. And we're still getting 70-ish FPS. Frame times aren't complete garbage, so that's also good. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Smack your head into that I-beam. Anyway, let's keep running around here in our same little area. Well, so far we're staying over 60 barely, but let's just run around for a little longer just to make sure. And I'm very curious to see if during my camera recorded portion, it does that same nonsense where it's like, hey, you're going to get 60 to 50 FPS no matter what. It was like 57 or 58 all the way up to 61, and then that's where it would stay. Even if we were getting FPS just like this in this exact same spot, that's what kept happening. So I'm curious to see if that was just 1080p being weird, the game being weird, or what the hell that was all about. It's like a fallen chimney or something there, shit. But in any case, it's time to move on to the next FSR. Well, now we're down to 720p because we're going to be doing some FSR Performance now. It's FSR 2 and it's Performance. So that's what it drops down to if your base is 1440p apparently. So now let's go ahead and look at the rest of the settings. We got this thing on high preset still. But we'll still just show you guys what all those settings entail real quick. Because for those of you who don't care, you can always just move on. And hop into the game, you know? But a lot of people like to see this just to make sure nothing's going on, and it helps me out a hell of a lot when it comes to description time. So anyway, let's get into the game now. Well, alright, here we go. FSR Performance. Yep, and that GPU utilization dropped more, of course, as we lowered that resolution down to 720p. Still around the same FPS, though, at least, so I'll take that. That's much better than dropping, like, under 60 and everything. Don't know if it'll do that later or not. We'll have to wait and see. It was very confusing at 1080p when it did that to me. We were just getting some camera recorded footage, and we're getting decent-ish FPS, and all of a sudden it's like, no, 60 to 58, that's all you can get. And we were getting really low GPU utilization at that point, down to, like, 40s. So I don't know what was up with that. But hopefully it's done with that nonsense. I'm hoping that was just some, like, kerfluffle.
Hey, try it over there.
Alright, though. Why don't we now go ahead and move on to the last FSR? Well, alright, now we're at FSR Ultra Performance. It's FSR 2 Ultra Performance to be specific. So we'll just scroll through all that. Then we'll hop on over to the graphics screen. As you can see, this is 856 by 480 now, so it's pretty much 480p. Upscaled to 1440p. So let's just scroll through all the rest of these high presets real quick, and then we'll get into the game. All right, and with that, let's get back into the game. Well, here's FSR on Ultra Performance now, so let's run around and see how it does. Seems to be about the same FPS as the rest of the FSRs. Seems like you just kind of stick right around there. We might get an FPS or two more now. I don't know if we were hitting 80 before at any points. But the game definitely looks quite a bit like the poop. And just like on the Steam Deck, you can like see a freaking like halo around him of like just bad like aliasing and whatnot because it's at such low resolution and FSR doesn't know what the hell to do. It tries, but it's not a miracle worker, unfortunately.
Hey, try it over there.
All right. Let's move on to my settings now, shall we? So here we go with my settings at 1440p here, and we're going to try to run it at native resolution and not rely on FSR. So I'm hoping with this, it'll give the GPU enough to do so it'll be at like almost 100% utilization, but yet we won't get such bad FPS that will drop way under 60. I'm hoping to stay right at around like the 58 to like high 60s. But we'll see what we get once we get in there. Well, with the settings I picked, we're sitting right at about 60 FPS. We're going to drop under it here and there, of course, but the game at least looks really good. We don't have horrible frame times where it's stuttering all over the place, so that's good. And we just barely stay above 60 most of the time. Now, there could be there will be spots, I'm sure it'll drop down to like 56 or something like that, but it shouldn't be much lower than that. And hopefully the game will get some freaking updates here, so we'll get even better performance here. We've already got the drivers for the game, so I don't think that's going to get any better. I'm just hoping the game itself gives us a little bit better performance, but this might be the best we get. I mean, this laptop is getting older, but still, I think it should be able to play at a little bit more FPS. I figured it could be doing in the like mid 70s to like low 80s at these kind of settings, you know? Maybe if I could overclock that GPU a little in my RAM and undervolt the CPU and like still get its clocks boosting up higher by doing so. If I do all that, maybe then it'll be all good in the hood. We'll see, because I'm definitely planning on doing that stuff eventually. Yes, it's trying to give me a hint because I'm taking too long. Anyway, now let's move on to camera, shall we? Well, alright guys, let's get ourselves a teeny tiny bit of camera gameplay here. Just like before at 1080p, we'll just get this about the same amount as we were getting for... do the same amount we got at 1080p. We're about a minute for all the same stuff, and the same thing we did for all the rest of them, about a minute 30, minute 20, something like that, run around. And this is pretty much the best I could do without turning, like if you turn settings too far down, it makes you get really bad FPS, because then the GPU doesn't work very hard and it doesn't clock up. Same thing happens when you turn FSR on, but at least with FSR you can get about 72 to 73, get about 10-ish FPS. But I don't really like FSR and DLSS if I can help it. They both have their problems. And in this game, since it's such a CPU-heavy game, and other parts, it might actually hurt. Just because we can get good FPS here doesn't mean we're actually even going to get good FPS everywhere in the game either, obviously. But I just figured if we're struggling to get 60 here, there's bound to be places farther in the game that are even harder to run than this, that are going to tank. Hopefully not too much under 60, but I think this game just needs some optimization. But alright, I think that's about good enough. So why don't we go wrap this video on up so I can get started on the secondary computer, which is going to take a long time just to pre-compile those shaders just like this did and the Steam Deck did. So, let's go wrap this up.
Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for The Last of Us Part 1 on the Asus G15 Advantage. Unless somebody wants to see me do ultra-wide or 4K, but I don't think that's going to run very well if we were having trouble with 1080p and 1440p. But hey, if anybody wants to see, just let me know and I'll do it. I don't mind at all. I just don't like wasting time doing it if it's only going to get 1 or 2 views. Like most of those ultra-wide videos only get like 10, 15 views, and some of them I look back are months old and they don't even have 100 views yet. So not really worth doing that. Not unless someone asks. But now it's time for me to go get started on my secondary computer, and this takes a long time to pre-compile the shaders at the beginning, so I'm probably looking at an hour of sitting there watching, or at least 45 minutes, since it's a lot faster than my Steam Deck or this. Maybe that'll help, but maybe it's just an hour no matter what. Who knows? But anyway, let's wrap this video on up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you, and Misty enjoys you guys watching too, apparently. She's come to make an appearance. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until the next one, peace out, guys.